And our next event coming out onto the circuit, it'll be the Wynns Sports Sedan and GT race. It should be an interesting one. The earlier race this morning was quite a beauty. There are some rather unusual vehicles down here in Tasmania lining up for this one, I can tell you. Let's have a look at the top 12 after qualifying. On the front row of the grid, from pole position, Leon Burdon in the Commodore, a time of 59.95. Alongside him, Crick, a time of 60.26. On the second row of the grid, Martin Sinclair in the Torana, a time of 60.59. He'll share the second row with Matthew Springer, a time of 60.63. On the third row of the grid, Tony Jory, although I'm not quite sure whether that car will be out there, and he's alongside Wayne Gaffney. The next row of the grid, Stuart Salter, a time of 62.65. He shares that row with Andrew Farr, 65.03, and Stephen Swain alongside Darryl Boyd. And Michael Elliott will round out the 11th driver there, not having 12 in this field, in fact. So this is Burdon. It's actually a 6-cylinder Commodore, not a V8 as it probably looks like. A little like the old dealer team Group C cars of yesteryear from the touring car ranks. He managed to finish second in the prelim this morning, so he's hot to trot. The man that he's going to have to worry about is Martin Sinclair. It's the yellow car in the background there, car number 14. He was the winner of the first heat. It's a turbo 6-cylinder Torana, and it flies.
Well, the rest of the field gridding up now as we speak. There's Burdon's Commodore. Number 36, Crick, and the Mazda RX-7 moving up to his position. There's Martin Sinclair in the Torana. Some wild and wonderful looking machinery.
Especially this one.
Whoa.
Car number 27, Wayne Gaffney. It's a Corona, believe it or not. Oh, what a feeling.
And unfortunately, for this fantastic start to Burdon,
well, the field just about set. 41, Andrew Farr in the Torana. And there's the front row of the grid. Distance is 5 laps.
Crick broke an axle in the preliminary this morning in this Mazda on the left-hand side of screen. Got away quite well. It's one of the peripheral port 13B Mazda engines. And I think although I haven't checked, but I think that Corona that we saw has got a Mazda rotary in it as well, because it's a bit of a flyer. 5 laps the journey, as you said, a total of 12 kilometres around Symmons Plains.
We're probably about 15 seconds away from the start of the race. Waiting for the flag to go up. There's the grid.
Watch the car on that second row, Martin Sinclair, the winner of the previous event, car number 14.
Flag is up and down, and the Mazda is long gone left Burdon as they make the sprint down for the first time to the left-hander. And it's Crick in the Mazda RX-7. So coming up very quickly indeed is Sinclair on the outside, and he's going for the long way round into the first turn. After Brambles hairpin for the first time.
How fast is this Torana?
We'll find out. Burdon comes up on the inside as they exit the turn. But there's Sinclair going after the Mazda. Down towards the Goodyear sweeper. Oh, how easy it is.
The thing just about sits up and begs. It flies. Turbo Torana through to the lead. Martin Sinclair, car number 14. Down to the left-hander. Crick still in second. Burdon in third, but only just.
It's got plenty of mumbo-jumbo. It's running away from the Mazda and the Commodore as they work the back part of the course, coming up to the Mazda hump. And doing it nicely, Martin Sinclair. Crick in second place. Leon Burdon in third. Mazda closed up a little through there. Once he gets the joystick working, Sinclair just manages to stretch them. There's 3 that haven't made it. One of those involved looked like Michael Elliott's Mazda. There's number 27. It's involved Wayne Gaffney and the Corona. Well, now they have a slight problem there.
They certainly do. I think the other car that was on the left-hand side of screen, that car there, the Mazda car 66, is the John Walker Mazda RX-7. That car was campaigned by Graham Moore and Peter McKay at Bathurst as the Ghostbusters car a couple of years ago. It's been given a rebirth. Well, what's happening here? I think there's yellow flags out, and I suspect that Burdon went through under the yellow there, which is a little bit naughty.
Oh, well, it gets your television exposure. The Mazda's coming down for a big lick here on the inside. Crick, no, couldn't pull that. So Leon Burdon and the Commodore, followed by Crick at this stage, while the officials try and cure the problems of the guardrail gyrations up at the other end of the circuit.
Well, we've lost car number 14, Martin Sinclair. When I say lost, he's a long way back in the field, but he's not at the right end. So Burdon will lead it, Crick driving up his exhaust pipe, and Matthew Springer comes into the ballpark in the green Torana.
Oh.
There's everything out there. There's tow trucks and...
They've obviously watched the reruns of Bathurst. Up to the left-hander at the hairpin, and this is where the cars collided 2 laps ago. Coming down under the flags. Burdon through, Crick is the next one. Then Springer back in third in the Torana.
Through the temporary chicane.
Up to the Goodyear sweeper.
Another of the Mazdas has died on the left-hand side of the road there. So Burdon, I think, has inherited a nice, comfortable lead at the moment.
Down to Coca-Cola. And Leon Burdon in the Commodore, number 12. Leads by probably about 2 or 3 car lengths from Greg Crick and the Mazda RX-7 as they work their way up towards Besant and to Mazda Hummer. Now, back down into the left-hander, brings them up to the start-finishing line. And Burdon starting to open his gap now. 2 laps to go in this 5-lapper. Sponsored by Wynns, and once again up to the Brambles hairpin.
Crick acknowledges the yellow flag.
There's plenty of them.
Through the hairpin, we'll see what's happening down there this time. It'd almost be better to just leave them alone for the moment and keep the track free. It's only a sprint race. So the Mazda makes a lunge now at the back of the Commodore.
Down towards Coca-Cola corner, left-hander. Mazda really that much closer this time, so Leon Burdon in the Commodore, who was fastest qualifier with a 59.95, in front with about 1 1/4 laps remaining.
Curious thing is what happened to Martin Sinclair, because he was leading comfortably and then all of a sudden the drama back in the field and he disappeared as well. Gee, the Mazda gets very close to the back of the Commodore through the pit corner. 1 lap now remaining. There's Springer in third place, and a long, long way back in fourth is Kerry Bailey in the Torana.
To the Brambles hairpin again, Leon Burdon. Mazda very close through here, but loses out on the horsepower run down to Coca-Cola corner.
Coming up behind car 41, Andrew Farr.
Excuse me, boys. Okay, Forstow's out of the way. And away goes Leon Burdon again down to the Goodyear sweeper. Greg Crick has lost out in that run. And, of course, Matthew Springer in the Torana still in third. I don't think those positions are going to chase. It just depends entirely of how close Crick can get to the tail of the Commodore as they enter the last part of this lap. It's a little closer this time, coming up once again towards Besant corner, down to the Humpert Mazda. This could be interesting. How close does he need to be? Come through the turn, and Leon Burdon. Mazda switches the inside, Springer in a bit of stripe back behind him, but Burdon will go on the winner. And does quite nicely from Crick. And Matthew Springer getting up there to finish in third. Well, a very interesting race, a race of changing fortunes. Let's recap the placings for you. The win goes to Leon Burdon in the Commodore, second to Crick in the Mazda, and third to Springer, the Stinger, in the Torana.